I'm Kelli. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Kelli.
Thank you. My sobriety date is 7/11/1988, and my home group is Empire Way. My sponsor is Sally Kay, and she lives in Oregon. And I have my own suspect here tonight. Kathy is joining us. So thank you for having me. Thanks for everybody being here, and thank you for all the work that has been done to pull this meeting back from the brink, right? I think that's amazing. I was going to talk about something really kind of fun and interesting, but I was told I was supposed to tell my story. So sorry. I'm going to tell my story. I had this great topic, but that's all right. So I got sober when I was 20 years old. I got sober 3 weeks before my 21st birthday. Never had a legal drink. Never had a legal drug either. And I started drinking. My first drunk was on the eve of my 12th birthday. And I was home alone. My parents were out of town, babysitter, and I was downstairs mixing Scotch and white wine in a plastic mug. And I did that for a while, and I didn't I don't understand social drinking. I just don't. And there was never a question in my mind that I wasn't going to drink. I always knew from the time I could figure out that this was a solution, this was my solution. And it was as much as possible, as often as possible. And so, needless to say, I was sick all the next day. My 12th birthday, I was sick as a dog and probably had alcohol poisoning, but we didn't know what we didn't know. Had a blackout that night, and I woke up in a puddle of urine on my bedroom floor with my little brothers and sisters kind of staring at me like this. And that story is important in my sobriety because part of my but says, I just never learned to drink properly. I need to learn how to drink like a lady. And then, who mixes whiskey and white wine? Nobody does that. That's my problem, right? And no. Clearly that wasn't my problem. My problem was I'm an alcoholic, and once I start, I can't stop. And if I'm not drinking, I'm thinking about drinking. And the consequences didn't matter. They never mattered. I never drank whiskey again in the rest of my drinking, but I drank lots of white wine. And I blacked out, and I, woke up in a puddle of urine, and I, did all the things that we do because I really didn't have a choice. I was powerless over alcohol, and my life was unmanageable right from the beginning. And it was a solution for me, right? Because the insides, the discomfort inside was more intolerable than the consequences of my drinking. So it fixed all that discomfort that was inside. If I could have just stayed drunk, I would have been okay, right? But it was the sobering up. It was the hangovers. It was the, oh God, I can't believe I did that last night. It was all of that was so painful. I had consequences right from the beginning, and it continued. I found drugs, which I won't talk about here tonight, but that was a big part of my story and a big part of my early entrance into sobriety because I was really going to die. I had this, I was thinking about this the other day when I was at a meeting, and I can't remember what the topic was, but I just remember the clarity of my apathy when I was drinking. I didn't care about anything but drinking. And it was that moment of, today's the day I'm not going to drink. I'm going to go to work. I'm not going to leave work and drink. I'm not going to drink at work, whatever it was. And then the apathy of, oh, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care if I get fired. I don't care if I hurt you. I don't care if I miss my mother's birthday party. I don't care if I crash this car. I don't care if I crash your car. I just didn't care, right? I just really didn't care. And I think, like, looking back on it, and I see this with newcomers, right? And looking back on it, I had to not care in order to continue to living my life, right? I didn't care that you treated me like that. I didn't care that you did that to me. I had to not care, or else my life would have just been intolerable. So fast forward to sobriety. My mom did an intervention. Like I said, I was 20 years old. I had gotten kicked out of school and was ready to go into the military because they didn't know what else to do with me. Like, just, we need to do something with her. And she, my last drink was, I had taken a trip with my dad for some reason, which was kind of strange. And I was coming home, and of course I had a fake ID, so I just drank wherever I could, whenever I could. And I was coming home, and I had 2 or 3 beers in the airport, and I had, I don't know, at least one, maybe more drinks on the plane coming home. And my mom had packed a bag and was going to pick me up at the airport and drop me off at the treatment center. And somehow our wires got crossed, and I caught a cab home and took a shower and went to bed. And because I was staying at her house, of course, because, I'm 20 years old, I don't have a job, I got nothing. So I'm back home living with my parents. And so the next morning, I'm sober for that moment in time, that day. And she says, you need to go to treatment. She found that my sisters had ratted me out about doing drugs and all this, and she said she needed to go to treatment. And I had this, like, what I've heard people describe as a moment of clarity, where I thought, first of all, I didn't want to be an alcoholic. Right? I just, like, if I'm an alcoholic, I might have to quit drinking, right? I didn't want to be an alcoholic, but I knew that alcoholism for me was kind of like cancer. If I either had it or I didn't. It wasn't like I can deny it and make it go away. If anything, if I deny it, I'm just going to die. Right. So I had that, like, I don't know what that was, but like something, I got it. And then I thought, my next, like, few thoughts, and I can just picture myself, like, I'm just, like, sitting in my bathrobe in my mom's, living room, and we're talking about this, and all these, like, God shots, it must have been a God shot, came to me, and I knew that it was going to get worse, not better. I knew that I didn't want to live like my dad, who was a violent alcoholic, and I knew that I needed help if this was going to change. So I said, okay, like, I'll go to treatment. I thought that my life was over. I'm never going to have fun again. I'm never going to, laugh or do anything exciting and, have a social life or anything like that. And part of me didn't care, because I also knew that I was going to die if I continued going the way I was going to go. So this is where the next, like, miracle moment happened. For some reason, I couldn't go. That was a Tuesday, and I missed intake for the treatment center, which was a Monday. I missed it, right? Because she was supposed to pick me up at the airport, and we were supposed to go, and, like, we missed it. I stayed sober for 6 days. I had never stayed sober I had one day in the last 2 years before that I stayed sober, because I went to a Mormon wedding. And I had this, like, realization, like, holy crap, I didn't drink today. I was at this wedding. Yeah. But whatever. So I stayed sober for 6 days, and it was effortless. It was effortless. And I'm a daily drinker. I'm a crystal meth addict. I'm a cocaine addict. Like from the time I was 12, right? And it was effortless. And I can't explain that away. I didn't do that, right? So if I ever doubted going forward, because in the last almost 35 years, I've had moments of doubt. Like, is God really listening to me? Is God really going to take care of me? Am I really going to make it through this tough time? I can always go back to those 6 days, right? I remember those first 6 days where I didn't leave the house, and I didn't really do much of anything else, but I also didn't drink, right? And I had never done that before. So then, treatment started and all that. And so then I learned with Alcoholics Anonymous, to me, was a scary place. And it wasn't comfortable to sit in a meeting. Sitting in a meeting was something that I would have had to get drunk to do. And so, I love hearing people say, that they felt warm and welcome here in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I want, if there's anybody in the room tonight who doesn't feel comfortable coming to meetings and you're new, that's okay, right? Because that's the way it was for me. And so when I first got sober, the treatment center was a big part of that. And then I went to a meeting where every week everyone shared in the meeting. It was a step study, and sometimes the meetings went on for 2 hours. Like, there was no time limit. We didn't stop the meeting until everybody shared. And I started to learn and understand what the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous was. People started to know my name. I started to want to go. We went to listen to music sober. I started to do these things that we do here in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I didn't know about because I had never had that experience. And I did retreats, and I found friends, and I did all this. Then what I didn't do was a lot of the steps. I didn't really do the steps. I didn't really tell the truth. I didn't really change my behavior. I didn't really think about you. I was mostly thinking about me. So I participated in the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that kept me sober until it almost didn't, right? Until I was sitting on a bar stool, drinking a Virgin Bloody Mary, smoking a cigarette, thinking, it's fine, I'm sober, it's fine. This is fine. So then I met somebody who was happy. And I know that might sound kind of like an average thing, but I did not know people who were happy, like deeply happy. I thought she might be faking it, and I wanted what she had, right? I wanted what she had, and it was the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So she had taken the steps out of the big book with a sponsor, followed directions without edit. I edit everything. It's like, I'll do that, but not that, right? I want to do that, but no, I'll tell you about that, but I won't tell you about that. So without edit, and she talked about God all the time. So she had a relationship with a power greater than herself that solved all her problems. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted what she had. So I did what she did, and everything changed. Everything changed. I started to think about you more than myself. I started to understand the power of pulling the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous together with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And when you meet people who have both of those things, when I meet people who have both of those things in their life, it's massively powerful. It's life-changing. Makes me emotional because Robin, who we're going to hear about next, is one of those people. She's one of those people, and so here's how that can work. Here's how that works in my life. So she calls me today to ask if I'll be her suspect, and in our 7-10 minute conversation, I felt so connected and so heard and so listened to and so understood, and so like it was as if I had been to 5 meetings, talking to her for 7 minutes. And that's the power of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what I want, right? I want to be that person who can turn around and do that to other people, and to keep my program and my house in order, so that I have that joy and that connection to my higher power that I can then spread to other people and my people like Robin. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you.